wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? Sir and Miss Madam.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
It's an honor for me to have you all present in this paper session. First of all, I would like to thank the Honorable Rector of University of Islam Malang, Professor Dr. Maskuri, MSI, and the Dean of Faculty Economic and Business, University of Islam Malang, Ms. Nurdiana, SAMSI, and the Vice Dean. The Honorable All Committee, which always support this conference and call paper session. And the important things, the Honorable All Presenter and Participants of the Third International Conference on Economics, Business, and Social Science, or third ISEBUS today. Okay. Then let us praise and thanks to the God Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for the abundance of grace and the joy of all of us can still gather in this place without any barriers at all and in good health. Next, let's express salawat and salam to the Prophet Rasulullah Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us out of the dark age to the era of light of civilized life in namely Islam. May we all get intercession until the end. Amin. Okay, the first one, let me introduce myself. My name is Asani Takwim, and I with my partner, Dita.
Yes, I am Dita Dulestari.
Okay, we will conduct as moderator as in this room 3. Okay. Before we start the presentation, let me to read the sequence of this call paper. All presenter will have time allocation until 10 minutes for doing presentation. And then we have 5 minutes extra for discussion if any questions from another presenter or participant. Okay, and now to make it more efficiently, we can start it. I would like to invite the first presentation, which will be delivered by Ms. Sulistyo Dewi Nurbiono, Ms. Yosini Deliana, and Ms. Eliana Wulandari from Universitas Pajajaran, and Ms. Niti Hirawati Komarul Zaman from University Putra Malaysia, with the paper title about consumer perception and knowledge of halal in food products. For Ms. Sulistyo Dewi Nurbiono, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Asani. Can you hear my voice? Yeah.
Okay. So clear,
Okay.
Ms. Sulistyo.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I send the PDF version for the presentation because I think you won't change the font and the theme. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be participated in the third International Conference on Economic, Business, and Social Science, Universitas Islam Malang. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sulistyo Dewi. I'm a PhD student in Agribusiness Science from the Faculty of Agriculture, Universitas Pajajaran. Today, it is an honor to present a paper titled Consumer Perception and Knowledge of Halal in Food Products. So this is my first paper in my PhD program. So next slide. Okay, or I can share you from my laptop if, okay. I was raised to believe that in Islam, there are 2 laws in food consumption. It's namely halal and haram. The word halal comes from Arabic, which means permitted according to Islamic law. And halal in the Indonesian dictionary means permitted, not prohibited by Sharia. The total population of Indonesia who are Muslim in 2010 reached 209 million, or around 87% of the total population. And West Java province has a majority, was the province with the largest Muslim population in Indonesia. The Muslim population in West Java province has reached 18% of the total population in Indonesia and 97% of the population in West Java province itself. Even though there are still many food and beverage products that haven't been labeled as halal by the MUI, it was estimated that halal certified products were only 10% of all products in the Indonesian market. The halal assurance in a restaurant and the food and the label used by producer are intended to convey and convince consumer that the food label is suitable for consumed by a Muslim. Muslim consumers make purchasing decision based on their knowledge of the food product, not by seeing the presence or absence of a halal label on the packaging. So therefore, the aim for today is to update you on how consumer perceive the halalness of a food product. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, next. Okay, next. So let's look at these literature reviews. You can see from the presentation slide. We start from the food safety and halal labeling have a strong driving forces, and the halal certification, and also the existence of a halal label of the product. And then perception is our sensory experience of the world around and involves both recognizing environmental stimuli and so on. And it is important for customers to have information and knowledge before consuming a product, that the activity before the product is purchased or consumed and gone through the halal process. Okay, next, the research was conducted in 2019, and this research used quantitative methods and survey research technique. For the first paper, I used cross-tabulation first to analyze consumer perception and knowledge, and the respondent is 200 people who are consume the halal food product in Bandung City, West Java, and the age of the respondent is in 17 until 22 years old with active student status. This age range was chosen because it belongs to the Z generation, who was born in the range 95 and 2000. Next, and the result, there's the 200 respondent consists of 71 men and 129 women. There are 4 categories. For their income is less than 1,000, and the category is majority female respondent. Yes. Hello. Okay. Next slide. Okay. The consumer perception of the safety of consumption of halal food product with the government halal food safe labels or from MUI. 68.5% agree to feel safe consuming the product with the government halal food label, and 27% hesitate to consume food product even though they have a halal food safe label from the government. Next slide. Next slide is for the perception of that have obtained a halal certificate and include it on the label. So 58% is agree. They ensuring food safe label on food product before consume. So consumer behavior in this study is seen from how the behavior of reading food labels to check for the substance that are harmful to health. As many as 58% is agree. They read before they buy, they read before they consume. And there are still 29% of consumers who still hesitate in implementing food safe label. So they not read first, then to buy the product. Before buy the product, is just consume it before reading. Next slide. Okay. The third is ensuring halal label on food products before purchasing. By the gender, it is known that as many as 74% of consumers ensure that there is a halal label on their food product. We can see the women is the major respondent who agree to answering the halal label before purchasing. Next. And the preferences of halal label food producer, 75% agree to choose a halal label food producers before consume it, and 25% express doubt and disagree with the meaning. They are not often seeing the halal label first when choosing a food producers or restaurant. Next. Okay. So I was asked that the need for halal labels on food products in Indonesia. So there are still many food and beverage products that haven't labeled as halal by the MUI. So it is estimated that only 10% of product in Indonesian market that have halal certified. So therefore, I'm asked in this research whether the halal label is still needed in Indonesia or not. So which is a Muslim majority country. The results showed that 89.5% consumer agree that the halal label is still needed for daily food product consumed by the people in Muslim majority in Indonesia. Only 8% and 2.5% expressed doubts and disagree that a halal label is on food products in Indonesia. Maybe they think that this is Indonesia, which the majority Muslim majority. So the product is no need to have the label inside the packaging. Okay, I would like to conclude the next slide. Conclude by saying that based on the results of the data processing and analysis, the consumer perception of halal food products shows that consumer feels safe consuming food products with halal labels. Consumers knows about halal labels and certification on food product. Consumers also check food ingredients on food products labels, and consumer previously ensure that there is a halal label on the products consumed. The application of the halal label in daily life is carried out by they are choosing a halal label food producer and assessing that halal label for food products are still important in Indonesia. despite being a country with a majority Muslim population. Okay, thank you for your attention. Mr. Ahsan, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for Ms. Sulistyo Dewi Purwiono for the presentation. And now we're going to the next session, which is discussion. We have 5 minutes for this session. For another presenter or another participant, if you have question, you can turn on your video or an audio, or maybe you can write it in the chat room and I will mention it to Ms. Sulistyo Dewi. Please, any question? It's so interesting. We're talking about consumer perception and halal food products. Halal products. Okay,
Oh,
any
there's
question?
yes, there's a question in chat.
Okay, yeah.
Column.
The question from Mr. Regi Muzio.
Yes.
Any suggestions to raise further awareness of halal label? Okay, so Ms. Sulistyo Dewi, you can answer it.
Okay. Yes. Actually, there's many effort that our government and MUI as our regulator in halal label in Indonesia to raise the awareness of halal label product in Indonesia. They are make the process of the certification is more simple, and the education for the people in Indonesia that this product is really use the halal label and assurance to you to consume is so. But there's still many obstacles in this effort that the Indonesian people still think if the restaurant is have the halal certificate, if the chef is using the hijab, maybe, yeah, or their assurance themselves that, oh, this is the halal restaurant, let's go inside, but there's no halal certificate in that restaurant. But because this is in Indonesia, so they think we don't need the halal label in the restaurant. Then if we can see the chef is using hijab, so this is really the great challenge to raising the awareness of halal label in Indonesia, even though this is the Muslim country. Yes, Mr. Rick. Oh, okay. Okay, I will give the PPT, the PowerPoint file in email. Yeah, okay, I will write.
Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. Regi Muzio. Any another question from another participant or another presenter to Ms. Sulistyo Dewi? Okay, maybe it's enough, yeah. We will continue to the second presentation. Thank you very much for Ms. Sulistyo Dewi for the presentation and the discussion. So interesting discussion today. Okay. Yeah. Now we go to the second presentation and will be delivered by Ms. Rita F. Dalimunte from Universitas Sumatera Utara. And the paper title about community identification, minds and to excellence compete on a community woman who is in the city of Medan and district Deli Serdang. Okay, for Ms. Rita F. Dalimunte, time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for
Waalaikumsalam.
I'm Rita Dalimunte. I'm explain myself. I'm My name is Rita Fatimah Dalimonte. I'm professor from University of North Sumatra, Faculty of Business and Economic. And especially my major is small business and enterprise. Thank you for an honorable Dean of UNILAM for third of International Conference Business and Social Entrepreneur. Now I can explain for hello everybody. How are you? I think it's
Alhamdulillah.
good and nice to meet you. And now I explain about my research. Maybe okay, where is my?
Okay.
I share or share from
Just wait a second, Miss Rita. Sorry, we have little trouble.
It is.
Just wait a second.
I can look about my. It's not, but from me, yeah. Please my Hello, Pak Hasan, can you help me?
Okay, wait a moment, Miss Rita. We will prepare it. Just a second.
It is my research is about how to develop community development to make to be a social entrepreneur. It's my research in two city, Medan and Deli Serdang district. I think it is implementation for my research in 2070 until 2090, and now I can introduce for you how community identification mind and to excellence of competitive community in women. Why I choose about women, but in North Sumatra, I choose two city. It's Deli Serdang and Medan because in two city is have many community. And they just only activity in kekerasan. What is kekerasan? Yeah, it's just only kekerasan for the woman. But now I want to explain them how to make the community to be an entrepreneur, especially social entrepreneur. Entrepreneur potency in community because women in area both a city and the district needs to get attention. Social entrepreneur in an area certainly necessary in creating jobs and increasing the add value of the raw material because especially in COVID-19 it makes many people jobless because about the PSBB. Now I think it is very important to develop them about the economics for housewife especially. And the second reason is that an entrepreneur must be able to be innovation and creativity in order to be accepted by market and be able to competitive. Similarly, doing social entrepreneur in community needs to be understood that is doing social entrepreneur is necessary to design how to design in community located in a region. Usually in the community in Deli Serdang and Medan, especially in COVID-19, death, poverty, unemployment, unfairness, domestic, because in community, they just only discuss about violence, but now how to make them a good job and have money to develop their activity. And the third, the mapping of community located in Medan City and Deli Serdang residency can provide information about the characteristic and mindset and social entrepreneur capability of community. In order to adapt to change needed by the social community to become social entrepreneur, it's necessary to empowerment women atau memperdayakan perempuan in the community to exploring the potential or skill that women have in order to become entrepreneurs. While the community itself can from social entrepreneur in the area as platform to be able to overcome unemployment as well as small home industry in every family. That women are the economic drives of the family. Social entrepreneur, but in the community certainly makes members have a different mindset than before. And the second, because in the community usually discuss of social issues such as unemployment, poverty, family violence, but with the social entrepreneur work in the community, its member is encouraged to have the creativity and encouraged to risk becoming an entrepreneur, so the produce product received by the market and earn income from the effort made, as well as help the family economic as well as increase the income of region. In addition, an entrepreneur who is involved in social entrepreneurship should be able to improve competitiveness. Therefore, an entrepreneur, including a family entrepreneur, must have an entrepreneur mindset such as forward orientation, have the potential to strive, dare to take risk, to have integrity and innovate, and be able to adapt to change. From industry revolution 4.0 and the corona pandemic result in the high number of unemployment and small interest flows in they could not adapt to extinct technology as well as people ability to use information technology, such as the use of smartphone in business activity. It is felt that there is still a lack of entrepreneur or obstacle of entrepreneur suicide. Therefore, the community is accepted to be a solution in social entrepreneur for members who are in the community. No, people still consider being entrepreneur are still focused on capital of technology, so it's fair that it will be reduced competitiveness in the face of globalization, and mindset of the corona pandemic. Therefore, it's necessary to map the community judging by the business competitiveness issue for entrepreneurs that are already running today, in order to know the amount of business competitiveness, capability, and entrepreneurial factors and strategic. The method, the research I use the qualitative approach using triangulation methods and the population and sample in the study of community in Medan City and Deli Serdang Regency have available is 70 people from 37 communities. We get sampling method done with the principle of snowball, so that the process sample will be more accurate with recommendation from the previous sample. In sampling, it's also done by taking administrators who are in the community. Analysis of the research data is qualitative analysis using contents analysis based of FGD results.
For Ms. Rita,
result,
we have
yeah.
2 minutes.
Okay, the result and discussing description of community on the gender. Based the majority of respondents is a female, 97 respondents, and 3 male respondents. And the commodity founder, based on the table above, can be seen that length of community standing at most between 20 and 70 years is 31 communities, and as under 5 years is 60 communities. But 21% of communities that over 20 years. Community description based of the number of members in community. The community members under 20 people are only 47%, but in more than 80 people is 11%. About sector, the community sector is the largest food and beverage business. It's a 51st community, and the community get the music is just only 1. But the community characteristics problem solving, the problem solving in community is 16% about poverty, but 90 communities is a creativities of people with social problem. And entrepreneur mindset, from 70 people or respondents said about they have a forward oriented, but said but yes, they have. It is 51%. Dare to take a risk, just only 72%. Positive thinking, but it is the solving they have the positive thinking mindset is 18%, take risk 72%, and they cannot solving the problem because they have solving privilege just only 60%. 38%.
So sorry for Ms. Rita. Maybe we go to the conclusion. Yes, we have still 5% after this.
Okay, I think it is my entrepreneur mindset. It is just one more. It is based off the table. They have. But, the results show that entrepreneur variable and strategy has effect of competitive respondent business. Strategy variable are most influence variable compared to entrepreneur variable. I'm sorry, it's Indonesian, but it's a FGD. I have for issue for FGD, it's very important to know how to make environment communities to be a social entrepreneur. And thank you. I'm so sorry because my English is not apa ya. It is. I think I want to improve my English. Okay.
Thank you so much for Ms. Rita F. Dalimunti. We have question from Mr. Regi Muzio Ponziani. Generally, how good is the entrepreneurship spirit for women in Deli Serdang district?
Pardon?
How good is the entrepreneurship spirit for women, especially in the recent
Yeah, they have entrepreneur spirit is just only how to get a problem solving, but not others. They have just only have about positive thinking, but not how to about the high risk. They don't have about to get high risk or others. Maybe from the spirit of woman in Deli Serdang, we can latih to both of them to improve their spirit of entrepreneur, Pak Ahmad.
Okay, another question from Mr. Ahmad Zain Al-Mantori Zohri. How to make our mental being mental entrepreneur? Okay, that's be clear. Have we answered by Miss Rita? Any another question from other presenter or participant?
We can improve their mental. We have now a community in Deli Serdang named a Warna-Warni community. Then every month we discuss about how to make mental being entrepreneur. And now it is still going. And they have now about the small business. And we give about the training and develop their mental and discuss in Warna-Warni community. Thank you, Pak Ahmad. Thank you. From Bu Regi Muzio. How to make from Pak, it is spirit of enter. I think it is a same Pak apa ini? Pak Ahmad and Bu Regi. Yeah. Yeah, now I share for you about the PPT and the article to Bu Regi Bu Regi it is.
Mr. Regi Muzio.
Yeah, Mr.
Regi
Yeah, Mr. Regi. Yeah. After this, I email to you, Mr. Regi.
Okay. I think it's enough, Ms. Rita. Thank you so much for your presentation and the discussion.
Yeah, Pak Ahsan.
Yes, Ms. Rita.
I can left from here because I have one. I can.
Okay, Ms. Rita, and you will come back in 1 o'clock, Ms. Rita,
Yeah.
We have the second plenary session at 1 o'clock.
Thank you, everybody, for this moment. It is a nice meet to you, everybody. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you. And now we come to the third presentation. Will be delivered by Miss Wiwin Erna Ekawati and Miss Dewi Ratih from UIN Syarif Hidayatullah and Gajah Mada University, with the paper title about analysis of the influence of company and country characteristics on Sharia and conventional banking, capital structure in Indonesia. Okay, for Miss Wiwin or Miss Dewi, time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Could you help me to screen share my presentation?
Okay, just a second, Ms. Wiwin. I will share it for you.
Okay, I will present my research with our team, but Dewi cannot join because her activities. I'm sorry. And our research about analysis of influence of company characteristic and country characteristic on Sharia banking, capital structure, and conventional banking in Indonesia. Okay. In Indonesia banking world, there are two types of bank, namely Sharia banks and conventional bank. Conventional banking has been around since Dutch colonial era, but we just know about Sharia banking just nowadays, yeah. Maybe 1990. Conventional banking has, while Islamic banking has only existed in Indonesia since early 1990. In reality, the banking system in Indonesia is very contradictory to one another. This is because conventional banking system use the term interest in their banking operation. And some scholars state that interest in usury. In conventional banking, use usury, but for Sharia banking, we just call bagi hasil, ya. The meaning of usury, according to language, is the act of practice of borrowing money at an excessive interest rate and not in accordance with the law, and interest in an access that was promised from the start in the conventional banking transaction, whereas in Islamic banking using profit sharing in each transaction. With a different banking system, it will certainly affect the funding decision of the two types of banking companies in carrying out activities and company performance target. This is reflected in the company's capital structure. Next. And then funding decision. Funding decisions are related to the selection of sources of fund, both internal and external sources, which are theoretically based on two theoretical frameworks, namely the trade-off theory and pecking order. This is familiar. Two theory of trade-off theory and pecking order theory is familiar in capital structure theory. Even though we use in banking or finance institution or manufacturing institution, based on the trade-off theory, companies base their funding decision on the optimal capital structure. The optimal capital structure is formed by balancing the benefit of tax saving on debt usage and bankruptcy costs. And then internal source of fund come from retained earning, while external sources of fund come from owners who are a component of their own capital, and funds come from creditor, which are loan or debt capital. And then the banking sector was chosen because the banking sector is one of the business sector that has its own characteristic. Banks are financial intermediaries. Intermediaries between parties requiring funds and institutions that function to smooth payment traffic. In this study, only at fact or macroeconomy or GDP, gross domestic product of a country, as one of the factors that affect the capital structure of conventional banking and Islamic banking due to GDP of a country that shows the market value of all goods and services produced in the country economy within a certain period of time is a long-term parameter of country's ability to spend on goods and service with that country. Next. Literature review. We use Sudana 2009 is about financial leverage. Financial leverage is the use of fund that creates a fixed burden for the company. And financial leverage can be divided into two: financial structure and capital structure. And financial structure shows how the company spend its asset. The financial structure appears on the balance sheet next to credit, which consists of short-term debt, long-term debt, and shareholder capital. And then capital structure is expenditure that is permanent or long-term, which is indicated by the use of long-term debt, preferred stock, common stock, and retained earning. So the capital structure of a company is only part of the financial structure. Next. There are two theories that usually used on capital structure theory. There is a pecking order theory and trade-off theory. Pecking order theory is one of the theories that underlie corporate funding decision based on a certain priority order in the selection of source of fund. And the trade-off theory explain the relation between firm value and capital structure caused by funding decision taken by companies. Next. Company characteristic factor affecting capital structure. We use three company characteristic. Profitability is the company's ability to generate profit with sales, asset, and capital used by the company. Brigham, 2001. In other words, the profitability of a company shows the effectiveness of the company management in utilizing its asset, which is indicated by the ratio of profit generates from sales and investment of the company. In this study, we use ROA, return on asset. Next. The second company characteristic is the asset structure. Is the composition of current asset and fixed asset to total company asset, ROAS, 2009. State that company asset that can be used as collateral affect the source of funding. Companies with a large amount of fixed asset tend to use debt more because the large number of assets that can be used for credit guarantees. With the increased confidence of outsides or creditors in the company, creditors will easily provide disbursement of funds to the company. In this study, we use FAR atau fixed asset ratio. Next. The third company characteristic which in the study is the firm size. The firm size with the size of the company. Palepu 2000 states that if it is related to the use of debt, there is a tendency for large companies to use more debt than small companies. This is because large companies have easier access to capital market and money market. In this study, we use learn total asset. Next. And the last is country characteristic. From macroeconomy, we use GDP or gross domestic product. Means that the market value of goods and services produced in a country economy during a certain period of time. Next. The framework of this research like this, we are comparing between capital structure conventional banking and capital structure on Sharia banking. We use three company characteristic: profitability, asset structure, and firm size. And for country characteristic, we use gross domestic product. Next. And the hypothesis in our research is the first, profitability has a negative effect on the capital structure of conventional banking and Islamic banking in Indonesia. The second is asset structure has a positive effect on the capital structure of conventional banking and Islamic banking in Indonesia. The third, firm size have a positive effect on the capital structure of conventional banking and Islamic banking in Indonesia. And the last is GDP, gross domestic product, has a positive effect on the capital structure of conventional banking and Islamic banking in Indonesia. And this is the analysis method and conclusion. The analysis method. In this testing hypothesis to determine the independent variable that have a significant effect on the capital structure, which will be donated by the long-term debt ratio. In conventional banking and Islamic banking in Indonesia, namely return on asset, fixed asset ratio, firm size, but in this research, we just use return on asset, fixed asset ratio, firm size, and GDP. Next. This is the result from conventional banking and Sharia banking. The result is mean, median, and maximum. And the result of next GDP from based on table, yeah. GDP the highest GDP reached on 2018, which reached 14.8373.357 and 500 billion rupiahs, where this figure is the highest number of gross domestic product that has been achieved by the state of Indonesia in last 4 years. And this is the FU's PLS for conventional banking. So based on table, it finds that this is not all variable, but variable fixed asset ratio, firm size, and GDP has a positive. Has a positive, and the significant but ROA have a negative effect, but significant effect we can get from return on asset, fixed asset ratio, and firm size. GDP on conventional banking has not significant effect on the capital structure. And the company characteristic using GDP proxy have no significant positive effect on capital structure. And the R square shows the number of 0.1115, which means that the independent variable is able to explain the capital structure 11.15%, and the rest is explained by factor outside the variable. This is the result from conventional banking.
For Ms. Wiwin Ekawati, so sorry, we just have 1 minute for your presentation.
Okay, and then for Sharia banking, yeah, okay, and then for Sharia banking, next. The Islamic banking group in Indonesia, variable return on asset, fixed asset ratio, and gross domestic product have a negative effect on capital structure, but the fixed asset ratio and firm size have a significant effect to the capital structure. Why is there a positive influence from size? Okay, we will answer Mr. Regi next. Yeah. Okay, and the last our last result is comparison result of the FU's calculation. Yeah, conventional banking and Islamic banking in Indonesia. Based on table, it is found that profitability for both conventional banking and Islamic banking group has a negative effect on the capital structure. This shows that companies that have a higher return on asset will have tendency to reduce the use of long-term debt. This insignificant effect on the Islamic banking group indicates that change in profitability do not have a significant impact on the company's capital structure. This is because in the Islamic banking group, profitability is not a determining factor for the increase or decrease the capital structure. And the last is conclusion. Next, the conclusion is conventional banking companies has existed since the Dutch colonial era, while Islamic banking has only existed in early 90s. In reality, the banking system in Indonesia is very different from conventional banking and Islamic banking. Government regulation are also greatly determine the treatment of two banking groups in Indonesia. These opportunities allow the capital structure of conventional banking to be different from Islamic banking. In conventional banking, return on asset have a negative effect, and while the fixed asset ratio and firm size have a significant positive effect. And while firm size a positive effect, the influence of VaR and firm size is significant from capital structure, while ROA is not significant. And the last is based on coefficient of determination. It shows that the variable of return on asset, fixed asset ratio, firm size, and GDP are better able to explain variability of capital structure of Islamic banking companies. 84.24%, while conventional banking just explain capital structure only 11.15%. Okay, and firm size. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahsani Takwim. I will answer.
Okay, thank you so much for Ms. Wiwin Ekawati for the presentation. It's so clear presentation about the capital structure of conventional and Sharia banking. There is one question from Mr. Regi Muzio Ponziani. Why is there a positive influence from size? Okay, Ms. Wiwin, maybe you can answer this question.
Okay. Why is there is a positive influence from firm size? If the company or the financial institution have a positive firm size, this is explained that if the company or financial institution have a big company, there are what is ini ya, apa namanya, they want to add long-term debt to use it to for operational banking, their operational banking, or even though this is conventional or Sharia banking, they have more confidence. They have more confidence to add a long-term debt to use it for operational banking. Mr. Regi, is it clear?
Oh, Mr. Regi, about the question. Thank you, Ms. Wiwin.
Okay.
Okay, any another question from another participant or another presenter for Ms. Wiwin Ekawanti? Okay, maybe that's enough, yeah, Ms. Wiwin. Yeah, thank you so much for the discussion and sharing.
Okay, thank you.
And now we came to the fourth presentation for this call paper session. Okay, will be delivered by Mr. Regi Muzio Ponziani and Ms. Fani Anggraini from STIA Trisakti with the paper title about forecasting of non-performing loans of banking industry in Indonesia on comparison of time series and deep learning method. For Mr. Regi Muzio Ponziani, time is yours, please. Kita bisa? Tutup aja.
Oke, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
I am Regi Muzio Ponziani, and I will represent my colleague Fani Anggraini to present the result of our research. Our research is mainly in the topic of econometrics. So this is a statistical research that tries to compare between two methods that are the time series methods and the deep learning methods. And we try to forecast non-performing loans in banking industry in Indonesia. And we try to find the better method of the two methods, which one is best suited for the forecasting work. Next slide, please. I will discuss first about the introduction and then the literature. I will jump into methodology and then result and conclusions. Next slide, please. And non-performing loans in banking industry is a very important measure for us to know how the current performance of microeconomic and microeconomics. So non-performing loans can be used as good indicators of microeconomic of the country in which the banking has the operations in that country. And it can also be an indicator of how good is the risk management practice of the respective banking sector. So in this case, we call the non-performing loan as an microeconomic indicators. Whenever non-performing loans is increasing, it means the economic conditions of the country is decreasing or it is worsening. And when the non-performing loans is decreasing, it means there is a good macroeconomic condition and a good microeconomic condition. And usually the regulators will respond to the decrease in non-performing loans by increasing the regulatory capital to ensure that the non-performing loans will keep on the low level. So the purpose of this research is to forecast the volatility of non-performing loans by using time series econometrics and deep learning. Okay, next slide. There are not many research that try to forecast non-performing loans. Usually the previous research only deals with the factor error correction model. That is a model that tries to model the dynamics between many variables that can influence one another. So factor error correction model is causalistic, in which one variable influence one another. And many previous research also use autoregressive distributed lag. This is a kind of regression that in which we can use the t-1, t-2, so that the influence of a variable to another variable can last for more than one time period. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, the methodology. The data were taken from OJK, Otoritas Jasa Keuangan website. That is, we download the data about the non-performing loan in Indonesian banking industry. This is a conventional banking industry. We don't research about Syariah yet. And then we collect monthly data from January 2005 until December 2019. So it is exactly 15 years. And from 2005 to 2018 will be used as to model the volatility. And from January 2019 to December 2019, the data will be used as a comparison for the forecasting data. So the data will be divided into two periods. The first period is to obtain the model, and the second period is used to forecast, and then we compare the actual with the forecast. And we have conducted the Arch family model, but the volatility model by using Arch family model is not suitable for banking industry in Indonesia. So instead, the most suitable method is SARIMA, and SARIMA will be compared with a neural network. Neural network is the newest development in artificial intelligence. So we try to forecast numbers by using the computational power. Next slide, please. This is the results. The descriptive statistics will be displayed in the form of figure. We can see that the number of non-performing loan is always increasing, beginning from 2005 until 2019. It has an upward trend. And by using the SARIMA model, we know that T-4, it means 4 months prior to the current month can be used to predict this month. So we can use the data from 4 months earlier to predict the condition of non-performing loans in this month. So the best SARIMA model is 414. It means that the data is not stationary, so we have to integrate it. We have to make it a difference for one level. Next, please. And this is by using the deep learning model. This is the newest development in computer science. That is, the computer science now can be used to compute or to forecast something. So they are not using the econometric, the usual econometric model, but they try to find their own parameters to predict the future condition. So in this case, we for the computer model, we use the previous 12 months to predict the current condition. So 1 year before can be used to predict the current condition. Next slide. And it doesn't take long for the computer to figure out what is the best model to predict. So this model is kind of a black box model, so we cannot know the regression model used by the computer. The computer just suddenly pops up the result of the forecasting method. Okay, next. Okay, we can see the prediction in the table and also in the figure. So we just concentrate on the picture displayed on the slide. The econometric model still better than the artificial intelligence method. So the artificial intelligence method that is now being developed is not in the perfect form yet, because they cannot predict perfectly the conditions of the non-performing loans of the banking industry. So whenever we try to forecast something, we can still rely on the usual, the classical econometric method like regression or ANOVA, not ANOVA, I'm sorry, FAR, factor autoregressive model, or IRDL, and we can obtain a better result than by using the artificial intelligence method that is now being developed by the computer scientists. Okay, next. This is the last slide. So the SARIMA has a much better performance than a recurrent neural network deep learning. And the SARIMA can also mimic, it can also imitate the seasonal pattern of the movement of the non-performing loans of the banking industry. So my suggestion is for the forecaster or for all the researchers to still use the econometric models whenever we want to forecast something, instead of relying on the current development of artificial intelligence. Okay, I guess that concludes my presentation. I leave it to the MC if there is any question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Regi Mujio Ponziani, for the share. It's very interesting. We're talking about the non-performing loans. Any question for Mr. Regi? From Mr. Wewin, maybe about the same discussion about the capital banking and non-performing loans today. Or maybe question from another presenter or another participants today. Any question for Mr. Regi? Okay, I think there are no questions for Mr. Regi. Thank you so much, Mr. Regi.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum
Thank you
warahmatullahi
so much, Mr.
wabarakatuh.
Regi. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And now we come to the fifth presentation. Today we will be delivered by Mr. Ervan Effendi and Mr. Abdul Hamid Ali from University of Islam Malang, with paper title about designing model of listening strategy based instruction for 10th grade students of senior high school. Okay, for Mr. Ervan, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Hassan. Okay. Well, I think I'm waiting for the screen sharing. Yeah, for your information, everyone, I'm not in business major, so maybe the topic will be different. So maybe we have a different focus on discussion, but because we include the social science in this conference, so I think the language and education. Well, okay. My research is under the title Designing Model of Listening Strategies Based Instruction for 10th grade students of senior high school. Okay, just next, please. Okay. Yeah, do you think listening to English materials are easy? Yeah, I don't know, maybe for most of you, listening to English materials are easy, but fortunately, in the next slide, we can find that listening to English language materials are hard for the most high school students. Yeah. Therefore, I do the research on this topic on listening. Why? Because, yeah, just directly to the next slide, Mr. Hassani. Yeah, why? Okay, the answer is in the following. Okay, in the flow slide. Okay, the reason is because it is mostly neglected by English teachers in the classroom. So most teachers in the classroom are teaching grammar, reading, speaking, and it is the teachers are seldom teach listening in the classroom during the class. So there are many reasons because there is no audio, and yeah, there are some other reasons. Yeah. Okay. So therefore, the students' listening comprehensions are low. Okay. The next slide. Okay. So the objective of this current study is aims to design model of listening strategy based instruction, or we call it SBI. Okay. For 10th grade students of senior school. Okay. Of senior high school students. It intends to increase students' awareness on listening strategies and to help students to be easier, yeah, in learning listening by the presence of this product. So because I'm using, okay, of this I'm gonna explain. I'm using research and development. So the final result of this research is exactly a books or a textbook which consists of strategies-based instructions on listening. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Well, the designs, as I told you, I use R&D, or research and development, which cover 5 main stages: need analysis, product development, expert validation, testing product, and final product development. So finally, in the final product development is in the form of books for senior high school students, especially on listening. Next. Okay, data collections, the data, okay. To collect the data needed as the basis for the developing product, we need analysis was done in MA Bilingual Batu for in the 10th grade students, yeah, or 10th graders. Okay. So this is the finding. Yeah, the finding is the students did not aware on the listening strategies. Yeah, the students never, the teachers never tell the students. Yeah, after I interviewed the students, the teachers never teach them what is the strategies. Okay, if the listening is just directly listen to the audio and fill the questions, yeah, and answer the questions, yeah, fill in the blank or just answer the questions. Therefore, they learn listening only listen and answer the questions in the worksheet, yeah, so that they feel listening skill is difficult to be mastered. The presence of this listening SBI model is developed to fulfill their need, yeah, because they need it, yeah. So I developed this research. The students are interested in this product. Besides that, they believe that the product can help them to master listening skill easier than before. Okay, so I think that's all. You can find me on Instagram or on YouTube. Okay, well, thank you very much. I'm giving it back to Mr. Asani.
Thank you so much for the sharing, Mr. Irfan. And any questions for Mr. Irfan about this listening strategy? Okay, I think there are no questions for Mr. Irfan. We will continue to the next presentation. Okay. The next presentation is from Ms. Susanti and Ms. Hilda Sosieta from University of Indonesia with paper title about ESG performance, country regulation, quality, and cost of capital, the case of 5 ASEANs. Okay, for Ms. Susanti and Ms. Hilda Sosieta, time is yours. Have you been here, Ms. Susanti and Ms. Hilda Sosieta? Okay, I think we skip it and now we come to the last presentation today. Will be delivered by Mr. Ikadek Purnawan from Nanjing University with the paper title about reviving endangered language in Indonesian school, the relationship between students' attitudes toward using Kinect technology for learning Aksara Bali or Balinese written characters. For Mr. Ikadek Purnawan, time is yours. And we still have not your PowerPoint, Mr. Ikadek. You can share it by yourself or you send it to our committee.
Can you hear me here, Ahsan?
Mr. Ikadek, yeah.
Okay.
It's clear. We can hear you, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm not in a business major, so I would like to share something let's see here. So I actually changed a little bit the title of this presentation. Okay. All right. So yeah, so this is today's presentations. I tried to make it like a business setting. So my case study is one of the project that I've been doing so far. Information used through social media on esllibrary.com. So this is a case review of an organization. Okay, so ESL Library is one of the website for teacher who can get or gain more resources for teaching English, Spanish, and French. The title of this or their website is esllibrary.com. So you could try to check this on the website. And why did I choose this study? Because first, I would like to determine the information used through social media by esllibrary.com. And this company is very famous for English teacher. It's launched in 2002 and provides languages for teachers around the world, teaching English, Spanish, and French. Okay, there are some rationale for selecting this company. First, this website was nominated as one of the best organizations in education. And the second one, this website also trusted and administered by more than 10,000 schools around the world. And finally, this website and its social media are very perfectual work in progress. requests so that there is a chance to offer some recommendations. To analyze the use of social media in this company, I utilize 4 criteria. First one, effort to enhance social media platform. And the second one is the function of the content. Based on Lovejoy and Sackton in 2002, they argue that organizations utilize social media for the 3 functions. So I analyze information resource, community builders, and the last one, promoters or mobilizer. The third one is marketing its product or service effectively. And the last one, evaluation of social media use. So I tried to come up with some research questions. The first one, how does this company enhance their social media? And the second one, what are the functions of their social media use? And then number 3, how effectively are social media marketing their product? And the last one, how does ESL Library evaluate their social media? Okay, this is the data collection. The primary data were collected from Twitter and Facebook. So I tried to capture their Twitter and Facebook posts for 60 days. The second ones, I did an interview with their social media director. So this company is from Canada. So I did interview with Tara Benwell through email correspondence. And also the third one, I tried to observe their website and also social media platform. And the last one, I tried to collected data from the literature reviews. Okay, this is the finding. The main function of this company's social media, both Facebook and Twitter, is for promoting and mobilizing only actions. However, the staff member say that they also want to engage community of teachers. So I kind of see that the first main function is to promote, not to engage with the community. And this is kind of analyzing from 60 days. So I try to divide it on the 3 columns. The first one is information. For example, they provide their discounts, their informations, and they share the video. And on the category of community, they try to acknowledge of the current and local events and also invite people to share their votes. And in the category of actions, they try to promote their products here. So I think this is kind of difference when they are posting on Twitter and posting on Facebook. So this is another finding. They investigated that the frequency of the posts is 60 days between Twitter and Facebook is different. However, the patterns of the frequency is similar. And also the second ones, the staff member have their responsibility and the social media director could not manage the entire weeks to only update the social media. So there is kind of lack of the staff to update social media and others. So another important finding is that ESL Library, this company, utilized Google Analytics as a tool to evaluate their social media. Okay, and then for me, and then after I analyze this, I think what ESL Library has been doing according to Murdoch ideas is that the organization only conducts the third phase, like is design. So I tried to propose the strategies for this company as a case study. First, to integrate the use of Twitter and Facebook together. And the second one is to produce more videos on YouTube to be shared through Facebook and Twitter. And the third, to have discussion or conversation with teachers because they don't have community of engagements with the teacher around the world. And fourth, to post using English and other languages such as Spanish and French. They try to promote their Spanish and French language, but they never posting on this language. And next, to invite more people join the competitions. They don't have this kind of competitions. And next, to increase more testimonies from the subscriber. And the last one, to utilize 6 pages of social media evaluations based Murdoch. So they just try to use the design, but probably they need to try to use this. Okay, I think that's all for me. So the first one, they need to try to optimizing the use of social media of Google Plus in their marketing strategy. And then the second one, YouTube, because YouTube is growing. So they probably needs to try to promote more on YouTube. And the last one, this company should serve people more regulations to be respectful and appropriate when posting on channels. Thank you so much, Mr. Hassani. That's all from me.
Thank you so much for Mr. Ika Dekpurnawan for the presentation. Okay, I think we have question for Mr. Evan for the.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, okay. Hello, Mr. Awan.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Evan.
Hey. Yeah. Yes, he is one of my friends. Yeah, Mr. Awan, here. Why did you choose Facebook and Twitter? Why didn't you choose like Instagram, TikTok, or other social media? And how?
That's right.
How do you choose the participants?
Okay, very good questions. The first ones, when I talk with the directors of this company, they want to focus on they want to focus on Twitter. But then they try to add more social media platforms going to Facebook. They don't want to consider Instagram because they cannot, how to say. The first ones, they really want to focus on 1 or 2 social media because they have a lack of social media staff or something. That's the reason, Mr. Irfan. I think, yeah, that in the future, Instagrams or maybe other platform will be useful for this company. Yes.
Okay. Any another question for Mr. Ika Dekpurnawan? So interesting talking about the language with the technology, Kinect technology, ESL strategy. Any question for another presenter or another participants? Okay, I think that's enough, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for Mr. Ika Dekpurnawan for presentation and sharing. Thank you so much. Okay, and now finally we come to the last session of this call paper room. Thank you for the all presenter and participants to come here, and also thank you to all the audience for your participations. We have session break from now until the 1 o'clock, and please come back in the Zoom in the plenary room session in the second plenary session at the 1 o'clock. Via same link with what we have shared to you in the email. Okay, maybe we can have take picture together for all presenter and participant. Please turn on your video. I will take the picture for all of us. Okay, for the participants, you can turn on your video, and I will repeat our picture together. Okay, I think that's enough. Thank you so much for your presence, for your sharing, for your presentation. Hopefully the information that we have shared today will be useful for all of us. Thank you for your attention. Please forgive all my mistakes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
You can leave this meeting room and please come back again at 1 o'clock, yeah? thank you so much for this coming to this international conference on social business and science. Thank you so much.